welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. A couple things I want to talk about today. What a nice day, huh? The sun's actually out. They must have ran out of chemtrail spray. Yeah, that never ends, does it? If one group doesn't get you, the other one will. You know, I find it interesting that about 10 years ago, I was saying, hey, look, everyone's thinking the chemtrail program's coming out of the Air Force. And I said, it's being financed by the Navy. And so now you see these people coming out, oh, the chemtrail's coming from the Navy 10 years later. Yeah. Not always airplanes either. Sometimes it's just a hologram of an airplane. When I look at him, I ask the Father to blow him up. I don't care who's flying it or what's flying it. Blow it up. You know, it's up to the Father whether he does or not. So all you can do is ask, right? Ask him to blow it up and cause it to malfunction. Got to take control of our skies, folks. So if you see this stuff in the skies, get proactive. Sooner or later, they're going to change the sprays to deadly poisons that will just kill people for breathing the air. I had a vision of that years ago, back in the early 2000s. A borough of some city by a... I don't know if it's a... It looked like New York to me, but I could be wrong. But you know how Long Island Sound and the Hudson River come on each side of it? This place I was at to the right, there was a bed of water, like a river or a sound. And these women were walking out of this huge building and just dropped over dead, and people started dropping over dead everywhere, and it was something they were spraying overhead. So, yeah, it's coming. A couple things. It is now March 29th, and so on the Enochian calendar, it's the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And, of course, most people will be celebrating it on the adopted Hebrew calendar, which is 2 weeks from now, April 10th. I just wanted to bring that up for those on the Enochian calendar. You know, I started learning about the calendars years ago. There was a guy from Israel who was teaching me about the different calendars, and the Mossad killed him. They disappeared him. The last thing I heard from him was he was being followed by the Mossad. They don't like this information out. They want people to stay under their little tight control narrative of what they have for us to believe today. You know, they control the narratives. They control what people think. They try to control what you believe. And that's why they come after the radical groups so heavily. And if you're a truth seeker to them, you're a radical. I get so many emails from people. I have a chip implant, help. There is no doctor anywhere that I know of that will remove a chip implant, even if you have one. They will lose their medical license. And so the only thing I can suggest is neodyne magnets, folks. I have that at my website, thewatcherfiles.com. Putting neodyne magnets on the area you think a chip implant is. Leave it there for a day, then flip it over and leave it for another day. That way you get both sides of the magnet on it. Some people say it's the north side against the skin that causes it to malfunction. Other people say it's the south. So just do both. What's the big deal? Just do both. Wear it on one day, flip it over, wear it for another. Use a Band-Aid to hold it in place, or tape, or whatever works. I was looking at this article, and it was from 2014. And it was about Pope Francis leading Islamic prayers at the Vatican. Really? I was doing shows on this back in 2009, 2010, 11, about how the Vatican will be the leaders of Islam emergence of Islam and Christianity. And I warned you to start to see Christian pastors leading the charge on that. And, of course, Rick Warren has been leading the charge on that. Others will join. Because Sananda is fake Jesus that's coming. His name is Sananda. He hangs out at the Vatican even now. He was at the Mormon Temple in Utah. They would go between the Mormon Temple and the Vatican, and there's someplace up in Quebec, Canada. For some reason, they go up there. I don't know what's in Quebec, but they have some facility or church up there they hang out at. And so we chased him out of the Mormon Temple. I went out there years ago and Oregoned it. I was shocked when I looked at it and saw it because it looked like some anomaly that they had just taken pictures of that they found. It was either on the moon, the backside of the moon, or Mars. Some like mile-high building or anomaly. And when I went to the Mormon, the new one, Tabernacle in Utah, the whole structure itself was exactly like the anomaly I had seen from that they were showing from Mars. It was crazy. It was Mars or the moon. The Mormon temple is evil. It's just evil. They have a gold throne to Lucifer in the basement of it. And they do all these prayers for the dead. And you got to wonder, what the heck is that? When you die, your soul is gone. It's gone. It's either in heaven, in hell. So what's the prayers for the dead thing? Why do the Mormons spend so much time in these secret occultic practices? And so I asked Lucifer about that. If you read my book, Interview with the Devil, Father let me talk to him. So I asked him a bunch of questions. And he told me the reason they do that is because people typically, when they're involved with the occult, they get filled with demons. And when that person dies, the demons take off. And so by praying for the dead, somehow they get in contact with the demons that were involved with that person, and they can get them back under their control. So this is one of the ways they keep control of the demonic kingdom, I guess. It had to do with that. And so anyway, after we Oregoned the Mormon temple, Sananda took off to the Vatican. They're there on and off throughout the years. And now he is back at the Vatican. And I've described how Satan had this huge city underneath the Vatican. Huge city. I wouldn't call it a base. He'd been building it since the Jews were in captivity in Egypt. That area, well before it was the Vatican, was always Satan's home seat on earth. Now we know it is the Vatican, because they built the Vatican on top of it. But underground, underneath the area, was where Satan was setting up shop on earth. He had a huge underground city there. And over the years in our fights, we destroyed it. He still has a section, a part of it. And they still have Vatican buildings within the Vatican City itself that they use. They had to move everything up ground, top ground, I guess you could say, because we destroyed the city underneath the Vatican. And this is where he tortures people. This is where he does ghastly things to people you can't even imagine. And the Pope does too. The Father showed me where the Pope drinks out of a vessel. It's a human skull. And what they do is they plug up the holes and they use it as a vessel to drink out of. That's his dinnerware. And his plate that he eats off of is a human hip. A hip bone. That's his plate. These people are vile. They're vile. He's going to announce Sananda, the arrival of Sananda. I don't know if he'll come to America to do that. Some people think so. Or he'll just stay at the Vatican and do that. I don't know how they're going to work that. But I was noticing that Breitbart just released an article a couple of weeks ago. This one was funny. Iranian Ayatollah, the hidden I-Man, will come to Earth in a vessel like a spaceship. So now we know how Maitreya is going to arrive. Now, if you listen to some of these Muslims, they were saying he was going to arrive during prayers. Okay, well, they pray 3 times a day, and Friday is their Sabbath. So I always just assumed their Imam, their Maitreya, would arrive on a Friday. And I'll just assume that Sananda would arrive on a Thursday. Because those just always seem to be the 2 hottest days of the week for these clowns. Thursdays and Fridays. One's going to show up at the Vatican, or apparently just in a spaceship. Nobody really knows where, Vatican or the USA. And the other one's going to show up in a spaceship in the Middle East. And I always said to keep your eyes on Iran, which would piss off about 90% of the other Arabs, because they're all broken up in sections, the Sunnis and the Shiites. They all have different prophecies on their coming Imam, the last Imam. And of course, he doesn't claim to be an Imam. He claims to be a world teacher, and he speaks English very well. Nobody speaks Iranian over there. The Iranians speak Farsi. That's not even an Arab language. It's not what the bulk of Arabs speak over there. The Iranians have never been a part of the bulk of the Arabs in Saudi Arabia. They were the Persians in the Old Testament. They've always been a nation to themselves. Meanwhile, you have the bulk of the rest of Saudi Arabia. What I found interesting, and I don't know if it means anything at this point, but when I've always said that the Antichrist is going to gather together a 10-nation confederacy, a Muslim confederacy. In America, they teach this as a European Union. But then the European Union grew well beyond 10 nations. And it's like, uh-oh, what do we do with this now? Just ignore it? Just stick to our 10? Oh, and then they divided up the United States into 10 regions and said, that'll be the 10 heads. I don't think so. Because back in the day, the sea was the Mediterranean Sea. It doesn't rise from the sea. And that'd be the Mediterranean Sea, and the nations are all around the Mediterranean Sea are all Muslim. But what I was saying, what was interesting, is if you look at the United Arab Emirates, 7 major kings, 7 major cities within the UAE, United Arab Emirates. That could be interesting, huh? Because it says they come to power with the Antichrist for 1 hour, which means they haven't been in power. But then when he arrives and starts establishing his kingdom on earth, they rise up in prominence with him. So keep your eyes on the United Arab Emirates. That's why originally Dubai was supposed to be his Disneyland on earth, and now it's kind of moving to Kazakhstan. Because Satan likes Kazakhstan. Why does he like it? I don't know. Maybe because there's no ore going over there. I know we have ore going in Dubai. I don't know if it's enough to aggravate them. But if they take this multi-billion, probably trillion-dollar city, and then just move and start building another one somewhere else, maybe it is. Maybe our $7 Orgone pucks could cause them to move across the world and build multi-billion-dollar cities just to get away from our Orgone pucks. Isn't that amusing? And people think we're not effective. We're the only ones that are. Because all the blabbing you do about these people and exposing their agenda and disclosure, okay, fine, the word's out. There's nothing anybody can do. But the one thing they can't escape from is orgone. My orgone. Because it burns them and destroys them. Pulls them out of the sky, crashes them. You see them all the time. Daily, day and night. They're crashing out of the skies. Because of our orgone. Not because people are blabbing. So tell me which one's more effective. The orgone or the blabbing? In my war on earth, I do both. I blab and I do orgone. I have to blab. I have to teach what's coming. I've been teaching the same stuff for 17 years. People are just catching up. 10 years ago, I looked really crazy. Today, it's like, oh, what you said's coming around. Really? I've been far ahead of you guys for a long time. So watch, because this is April. We're coming up on April. We're coming up on spring. What have I been screaming about? The beginning, the birth, renewal. And I know the occultists have this big thing on birth, the birth of the whatevers. Everything's about birth with them. Everything's about sex with them. What is that, the Babylonian fertility sex cult thing? It's just so nasty. But that's what they surround their lives on. And then wonder why there's such animals raping kids all the time. You are what you fill your heart with. Anyway, folks, I would like to see some action this spring. I expect to. Certainly by June. Because if there's nothing going on by June, you might as well go on a camping trip till September. And that means this whole year practically is just going to be another filler like last year was. But see, last year they had to get control of the population, and they did that. If you look at all the celebrities that have been replaced or soul scalped, all the people you see on TV are soul scalped or synthetic clones, or they're transgenders. They've very well taken over everything we see. Now they're going through the sports figures. See a lot of them shape-shifting now during football and basketball games, most of them under MK Ultra programming. Olympic athletes are no longer women. A lot of them are just transgendered men taking over women's sports. Oh, look, I got a gold because I beat all the other women and I'm a man. Yeah, that means something, right? Or you see the men who have been totally chemically programmed since the time they were born, so they look like Nephilim and they act like superhumans, superhuman strength, features, abilities. I told you back in 2012 it was the last Olympics ever that we would know them as, because it was the last Olympics. It was just purely humans, and even then, the transgenders and Nephilim are creeping in. Then you had the Olympics in 2016, and the whole gymnastics team was transgenders. They're playing us. They play us like a harp. They throw it all on our face, and they sit back and laugh at all the deceptions they go through. We go through, because they put them on. So they've completed that part of their agenda. I'm still trying to figure out where the heck Donald Trump is. I haven't found him. I don't know where he is. And that's saying something. That's saying something if I'm getting stumped on some stuff. I mean, I know more than I say. But trust me when I say I get stumped. I get stumped. I was stumped about Gates for a while. And then when you hear the truth, it's so ghastly. It's like, oh my gosh. And this is the same thing that they're doing to a lot of people. A lot of people. And I don't know how to free them because they're theirs. When you sign the dotted line to say they own you. So they can do what they want to with you. See, old school was you sign the dotted line and Satan gets your soul when you die. Hello to the new school, because as soon as you sign the dotted line, they just take over you. And so they're putting these people's souls wherever, underground bases, in jars, hooking them up to robots. I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy. Because it's not the norm. It's not what we're used to. Remember back in 2008, I went to Dulce Base and freed all the souls out of Dulce, and they had tens of thousands held in captive in jars. They're taking souls out of people and sticking them in jars. And then what they do is they take over their bodies on Earth. They put demons in them or aliens take over them. A lot of scientists, it ends up with the scientists that way. Want to work for the government? Yeah, I get a retirement package in a jar. This is what they do. And now it's moved beyond that. And I don't know what's going on. They're doing this thing where transhumanism to the hardest of core. They're taking people's brains and hearts and infusing them into robotic structures, AI, artificial intelligence, and keeping them alive that way. And then they tell them, well, if you do this for us, we'll give you your body back. We'll give you your body back. And you know how this is true? Because I'm telling you. That's how you know. That's how you can tell this show for everybody else on the internet or on mainstream media. Because nobody gets the info I have. I have it firsthand. I have to read it somewhere else. I'm a true prophet of the Most High. I'm a prophet. I'm a seer, which is a seer. I see things. And I speak from him. I'm a messenger. And so that's how you know you're getting the good information on this show. Why do you think everybody listens to my show, gets their talking points, and then goes puts up their videos and takes some other stuff and runs with it for a mile? They never give me credit for my info, ever. But you better believe they're all listening. Everybody listens to this show. I was told that by Lucifer himself. He was listening to this show. When he wasn't in entertainment, he would listen to it. They all do. Of course, BTR and all of them lie about my numbers and all that. YouTube, they lie about your subscribers and the numbers on your hits. And everybody lies to suppress you. And everybody screams about it, but no one's been able to stop it. My Father just tells me, keep going, keep going. So many times you just want to give up and walk away. Nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. It's like, that's not true. That's not true. Watch for some action this month. Maybe they'll arrive. Maybe the Ashtar Command. Hopefully by the end of the month. But April, May, this is spring. Should be spring with some action. Anyway, folks, time is out. Time flies. Maybe I'll make this show longer. I don't know. Be back tomorrow at noon. Same time, same place. Yeah, bless everybody.